two very different events this night, right? Started on U Street again, but this time it was at a singles event, right? And with these events, you get like a little bingo card, little three by three, 3 squares by 3 squares card with different essentially prompts in it, right? And the prompts range from, benign to spicy, right? First one might be a benign one might be introduce yourself to someone. A spicy one might be, you know, put your tongue in someone's ear, right? But if you complete all the, get someone to sign off on each of the squares that you did the thing, then you get a little bonus drink, right? A couple jello shots. But it wasn't exactly my goal to finish the card, goal to go there, meet someone nice, right? And the card helps because it gives you kind of different little mini goals, and it's almost like an adventure if you choose to look at it that way. But this night, start out going around the different singles event, talking to different people, right? Just trying to get in a more social mood by having conversations with different people. Now, I also had the card and still had that in mind, so I was trying to check off some of the squares as I went along, but not everyone I meet, I'm going to want to put my tongue in their ear, right? And that is one thing too about these events is like some people go and only talk to their friends and hope that someone comes up and talks to them. Some people go and only talk to people that they're interested in. And I am someone who, when I'm there, I'm going to talk to the people around me, but also still try and go on the little adventure of completing the card and finding someone that I'm really interested in and that is really interested in me, right? And with that point, kind of gets me into one of the big lessons here. So, going around talking to different people, eventually getting a conversation with a woman that I am attracted to, and I feel like the conversation is going well. Now, what do I mean when I say I feel like the conversation is going well? Right, this gets me into kind of a little mental framework or structure that I have in mind when talking to a woman I feel is attractive, right? I feel like there are different levels to conversation going well. And this framework can be applied in some situations, in other situations and contexts, but I'm going to focus more on romantic kind of dating sense here. So the first level is just initiating the conversation, right? Going up and actually beginning to talk to the other person. However, just beginning a conversation does not mean that the conversation is going well or that the person actually likes you or wants you to stay around. So the next level is getting to that point where the person is comfortable in a conversation with you, comfortable with you being there, right? And this kind of goes by many names, but a common one that you may hear from others is called the social hook point, right? When you're there having a social interaction with the other person and they are interested enough in the conversation, in the interaction, to not want you to leave, okay? So after that, again, in a romantic sense, the next point that you may want to aim for, or that I was certainly aiming for, was to get to a point where it's not just a nice, friendly interaction, but one where I am flirting, right? Where I am showing my interest and intentions. And you want to do that progressively, right? I am not one who advocates for just going up and saying, let's get out of here and just trying that as many times as it takes to find someone who says, okay, I don't feel like that's an effective strategy. I feel like a more effective strategy is give the person a chance to see a bit of your personality while you're also seeing a bit of their personality, right? So in my mind, if you are showing too much interest, you know, your intentions are too forward without really getting a chance to know the other person, then there's much less of a chance of that interest being reciprocated because they'll think, why they could think, why is this person coming up to me? Right. And even if they know that you're coming up to them because you maybe think that they're attractive, I think what's more valuable than someone thinking that you're attractive because of your looks or because of your outward appearance is them thinking that you're attractive because of your outward appearance and the personality that you've conveyed via a conversation with that person, right? So it's not just about showing your interest, showing your intentions, it's also about giving the other person a chance to show themselves so that you can really develop more of a connection with them and have more reasons to like them. So, with this particular woman, start flirting, and I feel like the flirting is being reciprocated. Good. So, what's the level beyond that, right? The level beyond that is a continued conversation or interaction, right? Now, this can be continued at a later date, as in, hey, I'm really enjoying the conversation here, but I'm going to be going to another event later on tonight. And so before I do that or before we part ways, let's exchange numbers so that we can maybe meet up another time and have coffee, right? Essentially asking the person on a date. That's good. Another way of continuing the interaction is, hey, we're meeting here at this singles event. What would you think about going someplace afterwards to grab coffee or grab some food or something else, right? And just a small point, the way I've presented it in this video is maybe not necessarily the way I would have done it in real life, right? I think, again, small point, I'm not even going to get too detailed into this, but um, you want to be leading the person to where you want them to go. I think that's the best way to move things forward, right? Is to take that leadership responsibility. And so, if it is a question of what do you think about this, what do you think about that, then that kind of implies that you're waiting for them to make a decision, that you're waiting for them to lead you, right? And there are certain times where you do want the other person to buy in and to invest, and then there are other times where you want to be presenting the option, and then you're kind of presenting it as a you can come and join me with this or not. And if you don't, then I'm still going to be going and doing my own thing. And maybe we can still meet up another time, another situation, but it won't be this time. So, all that aside, flirting, feel like the flirting is reciprocated. Get to the point of, hey, would you want to leave here and go do something else? No, she wants to stay. Cool. Continue talking with her. Do exchange information to, again, meet up at a different time and place. And when you are in conversations and situations and you get to a point where you've tried to escalate it, you've tried to take the next step, and it doesn't happen the way you want, the other person is not willing to take that next step, then you are left at a decision point. Do you continue talking to that one person? Do you continue the interaction? Do you wait to continue it another time? Or do you just leave and go on and try and find someone else who is more interested in continuing the interactions, right? Now, this is, I feel like, a little bit more, um, pressing a choice when you're at a singles event, right? When you know there are other people there who are single and ready to mingle as well. Because the more time that you spend with one person, the less time you're spending with everyone else who's there. And it is a balance that you will have to find and you will have to strike of how much to invest of your time and energy, how much of your time and energy to invest in one person or one interaction, and how much do you decide that, hey, I'm going to go around and meet others, right? Again, that is the kind of point of a singles event is to try and find someone who you really connect with, or at least that's why I went there. Um, and so when you feel like this connection kind of gets to a point where things aren't going forward anymore, where things aren't progressing anymore, then you have to make that decision, right? My advice is don't be afraid to leave a good interaction and try and find a great one, right? Particularly if the interaction was good enough to where you would want to continue it at a later time and date, right? Don't feel a sense of loyalty to the first person that you had a really good connection with when everyone is there to try and find someone that they have a really great connection with, right? And I know there is the saying, and I feel like it has come to my mind several times of, you know, dance with the person that you went to the prom with, right? So you find someone who's there and wants to engage with you. Don't be too willing to leave them, but at the same time, you have to recognize that, particularly out in the world and in the singles event, there is not a sense of loyalty like that, right? People are there to meet others, and even if they have a good connection with you, if they find a really great connection with someone else, then I don't think it's reasonable to expect them to owe you anything or to feel like they owe you anything or for you to feel like you owe them anything either. So, again, this will be a balance that you have to strike and find yourself. You will have to do things that you feel are comfortable with, that you feel you are comfortable with. But ultimately, what I would say is you have to be willing to get the best results and really maximize your chances in life. You have to be willing to put yourself first, at least in some, and I would say many situations, right? And showing an over amount of deference to someone who you don't know well, to someone who hasn't invested in you, to someone who admittedly the connection isn't really great with, then you may end up selling yourself a little bit short, right? Missing out on opportunities to find something better. So you'll have to manage that even though you're working through a conversation and interaction and things are progressing and going well, when it gets to a certain point where things aren't progressing anymore, you may have to make a choice, right? And it doesn't mean that you're always leaving the person and, anytime they say no, on to the next one. But it does mean that I think it's warranted to go through kind of a decision, right? To think about how much am I going to invest here now in this person, in this interaction, in this potential relationship when there are other options out there, right? And of course, the other part of this that is inherent that I'm now going to call out more specifically is that this really works best when you are exploring other options out there, right? So if you aren't meeting that many people, I think it would be natural to feel more hesitancy to walk away from someone where the interaction is good. Then, when you are meeting a lot of people, I think it will be natural to walk away from good interactions in search of great ones, right? And at the end of the day, I think we all want great connections. And so, what will help facilitate great connections is getting out there and meeting a lot of people, right? What's the saying? From quantity comes quality. Took me a while to think of it, but from quantity comes quality, right? You may have to meet a lot of people to find to find someone that you really feel like is a quality person, that you really feel like you have a quality interaction and connection with, right? And again, this applies not just in a dating and romantic sense, but from a business and networking sense, from a sense of friends, from broader just interactions socially with others. Good. So, left the singles event, did end up talking to some other folks after leaving the interaction with the one woman. She left, and then I stayed around for a little bit, talked to some other folks. But with the kind of limited time there, wasn't able to find a connection that was as strong. And that's fine. Some nights you find really good ones, some nights you don't. The point is, keep getting out there until you do, until you're satisfied. So leave there, go to another place, right? This other place is an EDM venue, right? So they're having like a little EDM show. First time being there at a place called AI. It kind of had like a warehouse look from the outside of it. Excuse me again. But then getting inside, it was quite nice. There were different little kind of activities and things to do. Um, and one kind of interaction I just wanted to speak about there was a strictly friendly one, right? It was uh, a foosball table, among other things, in the venue, and went up first, watched a couple folks play a game, and then ended up playing a game myself, right, with three other people there, and we had a good time. It was a lot of fun, a little. It's always fun, kind of leaning into like a playful, competitive sort of vibe where it's fun and games, but then you're also still trying to win. And so there's the little bit of uh, you know tension from the trying to win, but also the fun, playfulness, welcoming aspect of it as well. And this was a mixed group. I was on a team with a woman playing against a team of two guys, right? And so she and I were talking and high fiving and things like that. But I didn't go into the interaction really trying to work through the steps, that I outlined before, from having the person like you socially, to then flirting, to then meeting up and continuing the action another time or another place or whatever. It was just more of a, hey, these are people here, let me try and have fun with them and interact with them, right? And so I am particularly bringing this up on the back of the first one to say that, in my opinion, when you go out, it's natural and fun, and I would even say, to a certain degree, best to have both types of these interactions, right? I feel like some people may go out just looking to, meet others, have fun, be friends, but if you aren't really practicing making connections and moving things forward, then you won't develop your skills in making connections and moving things forward as much as if you were also practicing that. So, my advice is to do both, right? To go out, meet people, look at them as people, and go out, try and find others that you want a particular connection with, and try and advance that connection, right? And that can be in a networking business environment again, or it can be in a romantic environment. But the skill sets, in my mind, in my experience, are different, right? The ways to, the things that you have to do to move an interaction forward, to close a deal, to make a sale, to get someone on a date is different than just to get to hang out and have fun and have laughs. So, my advice, practice both, lean into both, recognize that they are different skill sets, but with both of them, make sure that you are having fun, that you are enjoying it, that it is something that you like doing, or at least that you are hoping to do to get to some greater end goal, right? And hopefully that end goal is self improvement in some way, shape, or form, right? You're doing this not just, to make a sale or something, but to help yourself be in a better position in the future, right? And when I feel like the connections and sales and other things will be easiest when it is coming from a win-win place. right? When you yourself are better at making connections, at making friends, at having fun, at bringing others into the fun, it will be, you will then be coming from a stronger negotiating point or a stronger point of social know-how, maybe is the way to say it, right? You'll just be coming from a better place. And when you are coming from a better place, then you're presenting a better value proposition to the people that you are interacting with, right? When it is more transactional, when it is more of what can I get out of this person, I feel like that does not create the same sort of win-win vibe. I feel like it puts you in then a weaker negotiating position, and I feel like it changes the energy that you put out in subtle but noticeable ways, right? So I think you will have less success with that than if it is coming from a place of what I'm bringing to the table is valuable, and I'm trying to find others who also have something valuable, and we can have a win-win where we're both better off because we are exchanging value in whatever shape or form that takes. So go out, meet people, recognize them as people, have fun with them, interact with them. And other times when you're going out to make a sale, to get a date, to find a new friend, don't be afraid to lead the interaction towards those end goals, right? And what will help you feel more comfortable as you're working towards those goals that you have is knowing that you're doing it from a good place and from a position where you have invested in yourself, where you have built yourself up, where you have this self esteem, this self confidence, this social value that can come across in your interactions with others. So I'll keep seeing you out there in the field, and I wish you the very best. Take care.